As a designer on this house, we were really responding to the view and the light. So we wanted all of the main spaces to capture that and to frame so that you could feel the interior and the exterior. They're connected, they're in dialogue, and they don't feel separate from each other. My name is Fia Cooper. I'm one of the owners of 980 Gower, and I was involved in the design process. We were drawn to the Sunshine Coast because we were living in the downtown east side of Vancouver and coming up here as often as possible. The contrast between where we were living in the city and everything the coast offered made it an obvious choice when our son was young that this is where we wanted to raise him. So we moved up here full-time at that point.
My name is Alex Chuaqui and I am the developer, and we were the visionaries with Fia to create this wonderful space. So the vision behind each of these houses, there's 127 Mahan, which is above, and 980 Gower is below. The challenge was that what you did on Gower completely affected what you did up at Mahan because you could block the views. So the beauty was, one is a transformation, which is what Mahan is. It's not building a new house, but Gower was a complete creative process that we could design from scratch. So one is you have to work in a renovation, you have to work exactly with what the bones offer you. Whereas with Gower, we had the opportunity to completely experiment with how it interplayed with the in and the out, the materials, the lines, all of it was just fascinating. And it was not financially driven, it was creatively driven. And I think that I personally have had that in my heart for a long time because all these things were just such a joy to do.
So these homes have very different identities. They are approached with the same kind of thinking, but it's expressed differently in each home.
When somebody walks into Mahan, it's this warm, glowing jewel, and it's a mystery because you look at it from the street and there's just a garage and a fence and it's completely understated. Whereas Gower, you drive up to and it's this beautiful girl who is just all dressed up and demanding attention. So they're polar opposites.
With 980 Gower, you feel a sense of calm and space. And you walk in and you feel this sort of expansive feeling, and it sort of halts you. Whereas at Mahan, when you walk in, it's just kind of easy right away. It's very livable, it's very comfortable, it's a lot more sort of grounded. One way to look at each of these spaces differently is I think of Mahan as sort of like your favorite blue jeans. They're comfortable, they're easy, they're everyday, and they're very livable. Whereas at 980 Gower, it's more like linen. So it's refined and it's elevated and it's still comfortable, and it gets better with the more you wear it. But you feel differently in each one of those things. A typical day, waking up at Gower, it's a slow morning, perhaps. You're getting up, you're walking into your bathroom, you're having a steam shower, you're coming out, you're having a coffee in the main living space and taking in the view and the light. Your neighbors are around, but you don't feel them. It's very quiet, it's very calm, and there's a lot of green space. And then your day kind of unfolds really easily everything is at your doorstep. So whether that's going down to the water or going on the trails and walking into Lower Gibsons, could be anything, whatever the area has to offer. But then it kind of naturally flows into coming back to your space, and whether it's a quiet evening, enjoying it, the sunset, or it's hosting and having friends over, there's just sort of like a ease and a flow to the whole experience. The design of Gower elevates everyday living just in the sort of quiet, everyday moments. So it's thinking about the ease and comfort of everything being on one level and how it opens up to the view and the light. It's thinking about things like walking into heated floors and a spa experience in the primary ensuite, and even things like the building envelope. It's very well insulated, so there's this comfortable feeling throughout the space of just a very consistency in the how the home feels.
In terms of how we designed the house, so the length of it, we struggled with trying to make a more average home, which would be more of a square-ish. It's more economic, that's for sure. What we realized is that a long house was exactly what it required, because suddenly everything fell into place. Every room had a view, and it gave it just this beautiful sense of openness. No matter where you were connected to the view. And that's really what this place is about. It's about connecting, and that's very much how it's tied to the Sunshine Coast. If you want to experience the Sunshine Coast, you can come in here. The winters are fantastic in this house because the storms, the texture of the water is what you realize is here. Those things are key.
We were very intentional about each room being south-facing and really framing the view and capturing the changing atmosphere, changing times of day, the seasons. It was really important to incorporate the landscape into the interior. There's a continuity between the inside and the outside, so you feel like they're interconnected, they're in conversation. So it's very much part of its environment. The outdoors is an extension of the interior.
So the biggest challenge we had building Gower was the lot. And as I have mentioned, the fact that we ended up with a very long house was the actual answer to it all. And what that created was the surprise was the hallway. We made the hallway a journey. So as you're walking through it, you are feeling and you're walking towards something. So this house is magnificent for having a piece of art on one end or something interesting on the other. So that was the best thing that came from that challenge. A space is something that affects you subconsciously much more than I think anybody gives it credit for. So things like the shadow mold that are continuously flowing through the house, they take you and they draw you. So the hallways is a great example of that. And as you're walking down the hallway, you are traveling through and you can have a peek at the view. And the wonderful thing about this house is that every room offers you a different perspective, much different on what it has to offer as you travel down the hallway and as you enter every room.
Gower really connects to the Sunshine Coast living and climate. You could say it's geographically accessible, but more than that, it's that you feel that you're outside, you see the coast. It's accessible, but it's also not separate from it. It's placed within it and it's responding to it. The coastal landscape really inspired the palette and the materials that we used, like bleached wood and stone, and it's very integrated with the environment.
The materials that we used were critical. And what you want to do is you want to pick things that are classical, primarily, so that we have white oak, we have Venetian plaster on the fireplace. The fireplace is an excellent example because it's very simple. The line is floor to ceiling. It's exquisitely subtle because it just has, it's a Venetian plaster that's Marmorino, it's Italian, so it's got those classic elements that design beg for in order to get that elegant feeling. The best thing about the fireplace is when you go up to it and you touch it, because it's very silky soft and it's unexpected, especially when the fireplace is on. So that's an experience in itself. My favorite design of the house and what it was all designed to, as you walked into the house and as you flowed through it, there is this sense that you walk into something, and as you're experiencing every room, it all leads you. I was always thinking that you would lead into the ensuite of the primary. The ensuite of the primary is really the destination of all of it, where it's cohesive in a way where all these linear elements take shape and bring you to this beautiful place where you can just stand there and look at it. So often I just make an excuse to go into the primary, and I've seen it 1,000 times. You know, you build it, but there was so much care and attention put into the symmetry, the lines, the vertical lines in the chandelier, the fluted bathtub, which match the reverse board and batten on the outside, which match the reed glass on the hallway windows, which remind me of my grandmother. So all these things are kind of encapsulated in the ensuite.
If buyers remember one thing about Gower, I would want it to be the sense of calm and the expansiveness when they walk in here, the feeling of the space, the way your eye is led to the light and the view, and you just feel calm and settled.
I would want somebody who comes in and sees Gower and to walk away. I think the key is you leave the house affected. You have felt something, and hopefully appreciation. It might not be your thing, it might not be for you, but you can appreciate the detail. It's just like seeing, it is for us, having built it, it is a personal work of art in a way. So it's nice to just walk away from that having felt it was appreciated.